From bizarre fashion fads to toxic games that push the platform to its limits, Roblox has seen its fair share of trends that players love to hate. But what makes a trend go from popular to despised? Today, we're delving into the most controversial trends in Roblox history, uncovering the stories behind the outrage and why they left such a sour taste in the community's mouth. You've probably seen these, now you might have even participated in one, but by the end of this, you'll understand exactly why they earned their infamous reputation. First up, the green bean. This trend exploded across Roblox following a so-called admin abuse war between the games Grow a Garden and Steal a Brainrot. To show their allegiance to Grow a Garden, players began transforming their avatars into bright green bean-shaped characters. Initially, it was a humorous and quirky way to pick a side in the conflict. However, the joke's novelty wore off as its popularity skyrocketed. Soon, the trend spread like wildfire and entire servers became swarmed with nothing but identical green beans. The very platform that celebrates individuality and creativity was suddenly flooded with uniformity. What started as a clever symbol of support quickly became one of the most repetitive and annoying styles on Roblox. The backlash stemmed from two core issues. First, the sheer oversaturation. Roblox is built on the foundation of personal expression, but when every other avatar is a carbon copy, that spirit of creativity vanishes. Players went from standing out to blending into a monotonous sea of green. Second, the green bean look became inextricably tied to the game rivalry. If you weren't part of their faction, it felt like the trend was being aggressively forced upon everyone, turning a silly joke into an obnoxious statement. This is why the green bean is so widely disliked. It began as a playful symbol in a niche conflict, but devolved into an irritating, unoriginal fad that many players now see as the epitome of a trend that massively overstayed its welcome. Next, we have brain rot games. Few trends in Roblox have stirred up as much chaos and division as this one. The most notorious example is Steal a Brainrot Asterisk, a game where players collect bizarre AI-generated characters called brainrots and then attempt to steal them from others. On the surface, the concept seems harmless enough, but the gameplay was intentionally engineered to provoke frustration and emotional distress. Players grew intensely attached to their unique brain rots, viewing them as hard-earned trophies. Consequently, when another player successfully stole one, the reactions were often extreme. Videos of players having complete meltdowns over their lost characters began circulating on TikTok and YouTube, turning the game into a viral spectacle. Ironically, these clips of raw emotional outbursts only fueled the game's popularity. Before long, Steal a Brainrot Asterisk became one of the biggest experiences on Roblox, boasting millions of concurrent players at its peak. But this popularity came with a mountain of criticism. Many slammed the game for cultivating a toxic and manipulative environment. It wasn't designed for fun in the traditional sense, it was designed to make players angry. One player could be heard screaming in disbelief as their prized character was snatched away. Adding fuel to the fire, the game heavily leaned into pay-to-win mechanics. Expensive weapons and special powers gave paying players a colossal advantage, making the experience even more frustrating for everyone else. For many, brain rot games ceased to be a funny joke and revealed themselves as a stressful, toxic trend that showcased a darker, more exploitative side of Roblox gaming. Then there's retro slop. This Roblox avatar trend is an attempt to recapture the classic old-school look of Roblox, but it almost always misses the mark. The name itself, a combination of retro and slop, perfectly describes the final result, are small player outfits that aim for nostalgia but end up looking like messy, incoherent imitations. Adherents to this style often mix vintage Roblox accessories from the late 2000s with completely random modern clothing, clashing textures, or hyper-realistic hairstyles. Instead of creating an authentic throwback, the combination just feels disjointed and awkward. The primary reason people despise retro slop is its perceived inauthenticity. A significant number of players who adopt this style were not even on the platform during the era they're trying to emulate. To veteran Roblox users, this comes across as forced nostalgia or even a form of stolen valor. Rather than honoring Roblox's early days, it looks like new players are posturing as longtime veterans despite their accounts being only a year or two old. Another major factor in the hate is how overdone the trend has become. When retro-themed outfits first appeared, they were a fun and creative nod to the past. But as more and more people copied the look with little creativity, it became incredibly repetitive and lost all its initial charm. What was once a unique tribute is now seen as a corny, try-hard aesthetic that true veterans can't take seriously. One of the most controversial and despised trends is the gooner. The term itself has NSFW origins, and avatars categorized under this style are typically dressed in highly sexualized or suggestive outfits. While this might be common in other gaming communities, it's deeply problematic on Roblox, but a platform predominantly used by children and teenagers. Seeing avatars dressed in such a manner feels completely inappropriate and jarring within the game's environment. This style has persisted in various forms for years, often cleverly bypassing Roblox's content moderation filters. Whenever the gooner trend resurfaces, it ignites a fresh wave of outrage across the community. Players label it as cringy, disturbing, and unsafe for the platform's younger demographic. Concerned parents have voiced their alarm, and critics frequently point to it as evidence that Roblox's moderation isn't as robust as it needs to be. The hatred for gooners isn't just about the outfits themselves, it's about what they represent. They symbolize the darker underbelly of Roblox, where inappropriate content is actively pushed onto a platform where it has no place. To the wider community, gooners aren't just another bad avatar trend. They are a glaring warning sign of the platform's struggle to protect its most vulnerable users. A similar story of status and imitation surrounds Fake Korblox. The Korblox Death Speaker leg is one of the most legendary and iconic items in Roblox history. It's a massive flex, a symbol of wealth and status, and it costs over 17,000 Robux, an astronomical sum for a single cosmetic item. Owning a real Korblox leg signals dedication and financial investment in the platform, but then came the knockoffs, Fake Korblox. These imitations mimic the distinct skeletal look of the original leg, but are sold for a tiny fraction of the price. Suddenly, the exclusive Korblox look was accessible to everyone. Casual players were thrilled. They could finally emulate the high-status style without emptying their virtual wallet. For longtime collectors and purists, however, Fake Korblox felt like a profound betrayal. It single-handedly diluted the prestige and exclusivity of owning the genuine article. To them, wearing a fake was akin to flaunting counterfeit designer clothes. You might fool some people, but those who know the difference see it as cheap and disingenuous. This clash between making styles accessible for all and preserving exclusivity for dedicated collectors ignited a heated debate, turning Fake Korblox into a divisive and widely hated trend that questioned the very value of rare items on Roblox. Next is the notorious troll known as Rupert, or Rupert Gaming Guy, who became infamous for systematically invading games and live streams just to wreak havoc. His primary weapon was a soundboard, which he used to blast loud, obnoxious noises, meme sound effects, and random audio clips to disrupt and derail gameplay. Initially, some found this type of trolling to be humorous, a bit of chaotic background noise. However, it quickly became apparent that Rupert wasn't just joking around. He was intentionally ruining the experience for everyone else. What truly elevated him from an annoying troll to a despised figure was the severity of his actions. Rupert began spamming vile racist slurs, particularly the N-word, in Roblox's voice chat. He often targeted streamers, joining their games and completely destroying their broadcasts. His actions forced creators to mute their audio, abruptly cut their streams, or shut them down entirely to avoid violating the terms of service on platforms like Twitch or YouTube. For streamers whose livelihoods depend on their content, Rupert wasn't a mere distraction. He was a direct threat. The community turned on him swiftly and fiercely. No longer seen as a harmless prankster, Rupert became a symbol of extreme toxicity and harassment, showing just how much damage one person with a soundboard and malicious intent could cause. On the darker side of Roblox, we find Condo Games. These are arguably one of the most hated and dangerous phenomena on the platform. On the surface, they are advertised as simple role-playing games like checking into a virtual apartment or hotel. In reality, these games are clandestine hubs for deeply inappropriate and adult content. They often feature sexual role-playing, explicit animations, and other features that have absolutely no place on a platform designed for children. The reason for the intense hatred is straightforward. They are a serious safety risk. These games are often easily accessible with no meaningful age verification, meaning young children can stumble into them just as easily as adults can seek them out. Behind the scenes, massive Discord servers with tens of thousands of members openly promote and provide links to these games, creating a coordinated network that evades moderation. Over the years, Condo Games have been linked to predatory behavior, exploitation, and have dragged Roblox's reputation through the mud in mainstream news reports. Although Roblox's moderation teams work tirelessly to ban these games, new ones pop up within minutes of being taken down. To the community, condos aren't just cringy, they represent a persistent threat to player safety and are one of the most universally despised trends in Roblox history. Finally, we have Slenders. This is one of Roblox's most recognizable and infamous fashion trends. Loosely inspired by the creepypasta character Slender Man, these avatars are characterized by their tall, thin proportions, and are typically dressed in edgy, dark clothing with emo or alternative aesthetics. At its inception, it was just another avatar style, a simple fashion choice, but soon a powerful and negative reputation began to form around it. The Slender style became increasingly associated with toxic behavior. Players dressed as Slenders gained a reputation for trash-talking, bullying other players, and instigating drama in games. The style also became linked to controversial online dating trends or ODing, which only added to the negative perception. Even though not every player who adopted the style behaved this way, the stereotype was so strong that it tainted the entire subculture. Over time, Slender stopped being just an avatar description and became a behavioral warning sign. If a player saw a Slender join their server, they often braced for trouble. This negative reputation has stuck firmly. Today, Slenders are remembered less for their fashion and more for the toxic stereotype that permanently attached itself to their tall, dark, and edgy look.